welcome to Reality Hour. I'm Adam Samuel. Today we are talking America's Got Talent, first week of semifinals. Joining me for this podcast is my co-host Eric. How you doing today, Eric?
Doing good. This was an interesting week. I'm kind of tired of talking about some of this stuff, but we're gonna have to do it again because this show keeps on doing it. So let's dive into it, shall we?
I kind of enjoyed these shows, kind of for my overall impressions. I mean, I feel I'm going to eat those words come next week because I feel most of the big heavy hitters of this season, with very few exceptions, are kind of going to be in that episode. This was a lot lighter. I feel like I came away happy with the results, but I feel like next week, once we lose some people, I might not be so much. Do you agree with that?
In general, yes, I'm happy with these results. I'm not so happy with how we got there and how we ordered they were in, but I am overall happy. I think the right 5 made it through.
Right. A lot of people have been saying disappointing results, which I don't really get. A lot of people I was going on on Twitter and on Reddit. Some people were very disappointed with one contestant, which kind of really surprised me. But we will talk about that contestant a little bit later. I guess the first kind of big headline to come out of the show before the episode even aired was that we have some special guests who are going to be joining us for, not us literally, but the show in general.
Sorry.
That would have been
everyone's hopes up. But
we have Sean Hayes, who was for this week's episode, and next week we have Queen Latifah, who my notes page auto-corrected to Queen Layoffs, which I thought was very weird.
She's well known. That's a little bit surprising, yeah.
It was weird. But I came away from this episode kind of going, what was the point of this? Why did we need a special guest?
Honestly, I don't know. Going into it, I swore it would be for the Golden Buzzer, but thankfully they didn't screw that up. So
that was the reason. Like, there was nothing. There's no other. Like, why?
There's no other reason to have one. But honestly, I'm happy that if they're gonna have a guest judge, which they didn't need to have, they at least didn't screw up the format of results. So I'll take what I can get. I still don't think there was any reason to have guest judges though. At this point, definitely not.
Sean Hayes didn't really add anything anyway. I mean,
Well, did the other judges add anything?
None of the judges added anything. Is what I was.
There we go. Go. So, fit right in is what you're trying to say.
It didn't used to be this way, Eric. Like, there used to be a time.
When I didn't want to fast forward through the judges every episode. You're right. It used to be that way.
I loved when Howard Stern. I worship that man.
Okay.
He is the best judge on any show, period. He is my favorite judge. Eric doesn't agree, but he's wrong.
He was really, really good, but he's not my absolute favorite.
All right. Simon is your favorite, of course.
Not so much anymore.
Who is then?
I don't even know, honestly. I don't really have much of a favorite.
Howard Stern wins by default.
No. Actually, the one I liked the most on X Factor was Gary Barlow. Or Louis Tomlinson actually was pretty good.
All right. Well,
Louis Tomlinson actually might be one of my least favorite singers, but one of my all-time favorite judges.
Do you think he would maybe perform in an X Factor the Champion season?
Well, there's gonna be one, possibly, if Simon can get anyone to agree, but yeah, he wouldn't.
All right. Well, we've gotten a little bit off topic. Let's kind of steer the conversation back to America's Got Talent this past week. So we are going to be taking a deep dive into the contestants' performances. 11 performed, 5 moved on, 3 from the vote, and 1 from the Duncan save, and 1 from the judges' decision. So let's, Eric, should we get into these contestants?
Let's do it.
First up, kicking off the night in the death spot, but not the death spot for them because they ended up making it through. It is Nidlovo Youth Choir. They made history this week. Eric, do you know why?
Because they got the judges' save last time, right?
No, they are actually, correct me if I'm wrong, they are the first choir to make it to the finale on America's Got Talent history.
That has to be wrong. That has to be wrong.
I think it's true. I mean, I've been watching.
Google it. I swear that's wrong, but maybe it's not. Who knows?
Well, anyway, they are
There will
performing.
be text added in the editing process if that's wrong or right.
All
Right?
right. I read on Reddit that that's what it is. So unless the forums lied to me, that is what I've heard. They are taking on Higher Love, which there's some weird story with this song. Do you know what Higher Love is? Kind of.
No, but I know it's not this type of song. They changed it up quite a bit, right?
Isn't it like a Whitney Houston song? Like that was released? Correct
I
me if
don't
I'm
know.
wrong. I there's something with the Whitney Houston song that I saw, like a new song was kind of, I don't know. I don't know the full story. If you do, let us know in the chat. So they are taking this song on. They did flip it. They kind of, at least I've never heard it before, but I'm assuming they flipped it to kind of more of a bit of a different kind of a beat. And it's a choir, so they go all out with the energy. Eric, were you a fan?
For great, not my thing. For great. I am still shocked that they made the final, because didn't they need the save last time? I think they did.
I don't remember.
If they did, that might have been their actual history that they made.
Why? Because there's never been an act to make it through.
Well, there was. I mean, there's an act that's been close. Like Taylor Williamson got saved and then made it to the top two. So never mind.
I don't know. Well, anyway, they do. It's all about energy, and like I said in the beginning of the show, I am happy they made it through. But next week, I feel like there's going to be an act that's going to lose their opportunity just because of the luck of the draw. I'm glad they made it through, but I might be singing a different tune next week.
You prefer the Detroit Youth Choir?
I don't know. I haven't seen them yet. I haven't seen their performance for this round. But anyway, there was one thing that really stood out to me. So they're going all out with the energy. At one point, one of the younger singers kind of pulls out a didgeridoo, which I think that's what it's called. And you know what I mean with the
Yes, the thing with Crystal's person played on Idol.
yeah. So he's like jamming to it, and I'm hearing the music, and then there was one thing that just stood out so much to me because he takes the didgeridoo. He finished his 10 seconds that he's allowed to do on these shows. He takes it and he throws it, and the didgeridoo music is still playing for like 2 seconds, for like a fraction of a second. If you listen, it's still going. What happened?
That does not surprise me at all. All of the backing tracks in these shows are usually not recorded live, even if there's a band on stage.
Go back and listen to it because I watched it like 4 times.
I totally believe that you are right, and you know why I believe that you are right? Because it's a Simon Cowell show on X Factor. Whenever they have a band on stage, we're just actors. We're not actually playing.
They're IMDb acting in America's
No,
Got
they are literally playing silently, and
They're just playing real quietly.
they're there to make it look like there's a band.
So that was just a weird thing for me because I'm like, what? It was just strange, but I overall enjoyed their performance. I mean, this week, like I said earlier, is kind of it's a bit of a weaker night. We kind of have some of the weaker contestants kind of in the general shoved in, so they were good for this standard, but I don't know what's going to happen next week. Any other thoughts, Eric, on these guys?
Nope, not really. We'll see them next 2 weeks.
Yeah, bottom 5, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, let's move on to Ansley, the last wild card in our competition. She is performing pretty big song for a young singer to be taking on. It is "Cry Pretty" by Carrie Underwood. Eric, a lot of people have been pretty hard on this girl. What are your thoughts on her?
How old is she again? She's like 10? 12?
I think 12.
However old she is, she's a child. I don't like watching children suffer. And I knew America's Got Talent would make me do it some more, and so they did. Yeah, song's way too big for her, obviously, but she isn't a bad singer, but she was outclassed at this point, and it's kind of painful to watch children suffer. So I'm not a fan of this show for doing stuff like this.
It's like she's like at a, this is a bad analogy, but it's like she's at a poker table and she's been handed a bum hand. Like there's nothing to do with it. And she's just kind of trying to, in this analogy, kind of bluff her way forward, trying to like make it look like she's got something bigger, because this is a monster of a song to take on for someone like her. And she forgets the words at one point, which that is a knock against her. That is something you got to say. But I do want to say, for people who have been a little bit overly critical of this young girl,
she's 12.
if you're no, it's not that. It's if you're going to blame anyone, don't blame her. Blame everyone who
gave her that song.
Whoever gave her that song, the producers for allowing young singers to be on this show. It's like the monkey's paw of this show. You got to take the good with the bad. She's a kid. Like, I don't think anything you see on these shows is not indicative of a person in real life. It's all kind of fabricated and manufactured. She's a talented girl, but one thing I did say that that Reddit did point out, which I did find very amusing, is that Simon, I think he says, like, forgetting the song choice. What did he say? Did you remember?
No.
All right, well, anyway, he says something, I think it was like forgetting the song choice, and then someone put a picture of Simon saying that right next to a picture of Charlotte, who was kind of knocked for her song choice. Like, Simon Cowell chooses when he wants to throw certain criticism at some people. He's going to throw it. Other people, he's just going to kind of let it slide.
Oh, now I understand. Yeah, I didn't get that image you sent me, but now I understand it.
Well, any final thoughts on Ansley? We lose her this round, but I think it's a good ending spot for her, honestly.
Okay.
All right, well, let's move on to the Massaudi brothers. This act, it is what it is. There's no shame. It's a bunch of shirtless people doing strength acts, and that's kind of what it is. We get one of these basically every season, and they usually get stale at this exact point in the competition, and then they go home. And that's what happened here.
I have nothing to add to that. Let's move on.
I mean, it is what it is. Like, there's nothing. Literally, though, it gets stale at the exact same time.
Well, for me, it got stale the second time we saw it. So.
I enjoyed the first performance. I remember liking them in judge cuts, but then it's the same shtick that I've seen on a bunch of other contestants over the years. There's one every season. Mm-hmm. Moving on.
Moving on.
They do not make it through. We have Tyler, who I am surprised that I discovered that Tyler is a bit of a contentious contestant among a bunch of AGT viewers. What are your thoughts on him, Eric?
He's a fully competent violinist. He has presence. He's also 10, but he's also not spectacular like Lindsay Sterling or Brian King Joseph were. But he's 10, so eventually he'll get there. As of now, if you're judging him based on talent and not based on story, he's finishing in 5th place at best.
That's really weird, because I actually really enjoyed Tyler this week.
He was good, but he was no Brian King Joseph or Lindsay Sterling.
I was watching this week. I didn't look at like Twitter or anything. I kind of just watched it like with no outside influence. I came away enjoying this performance the most of the night, which is probably a little crazy to some people. Top 2, though. It was actually top 2 for me of the night. I did find it a little funny. Kind of, they made a big deal about how he's going to be performing with cancer survivors, and they're just kind of standing behind him for 2 seconds, and that was kind of it. But yeah, perfect. It is that's how it always goes. That said, though, I really enjoyed it. Like I
did not like it. I'm just saying it wasn't like mind-blowingly spectacular. And he's 10. For a 10-year-old, he's really, really good.
People were saying that he did not deserve to advance, and to that I say
that's not true. He deserved to advance. Maybe not to go straight through, but he was definitely in the top 5 of the night. No question.
Here's how I'm going to put it. To those people who say Tyler did not deserve to advance, who did? Who would replace him? Like, you want to go through the list? Like,
if Eric Chen wasn't sabotaged, I would have put him through. But
all right, but come on, like, who else would be the replacement? Like, I think Tyler deserved the spot, honestly. One thing I will say though, that Fortnite dance entirely forced, right, Eric?
I didn't even know what that was, but yeah, sure, probably.
You know he didn't come up with that himself. Like that was
I didn't even know what that dance was, but
that's the
now that
Fortnite dance, Eric. That's what like all the kids do. I don't know. Not that I've ever done it.
at least it's not all the kids do.
Oh, the baby shark.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
All right.
Like that.
Maybe that's what he'll perform to next. The thing is,
Oh God! Oh God! I'm having nightmares. Thanks for that. You know
and
what?
all the
If he
kids will
does
be
that,
dressed up as sharks.
here's the thing: if he does that, I will vote for him, and I will hope he wins.
I would vote for him anyway. I think I didn't expect, like, I came away thinking, okay, I got Tyler and Light Balance. They're kind of my two big takeaways. And then, first of all, everyone's hating the kid. I'm like, why? I don't know. One thing I did find, I was reading online, there was a TMZ article that weirdly dropped. Have you checked out this article about him that people are sharing?
I boycott TMZ, but continue.
No, it's nothing bad. It's basically they're saying that some talent agencies kind of really want to scoop him up, and they're talking a lot about. So there was a lot of money, big numbers involved that I was checking out.
Great.
I mean, good for him. I mean, the last big name to actually really make it big from America's Got Talent. I'm gonna tread lightly here with my next words because I know Eric will. Darcy, the last kind of star.
I think Shin Lim's done pretty damn well for himself.
It's too soon to tell with Shin Lim.
It's not too soon to tell. He has a show. He's selling out big venues.
All right.
It's not too soon to tell at all. He's doing extremely well for himself.
All right. Well, anyway.
One thing I argue about is if it's because it's AGT or Penn and Teller, but he's doing so well. That's your argument.
All right. Well, anyway, it's funny. Before I started reading, I wrote Tyler's probably going to be top 3.
Okay.
And now
you're not thinking that so much anymore, huh?
I used to. I was like, I think he's going to come in third to Cody Lee and Luke Islam. And now.
You really think the Unbeatable aren't going to be in the top 2?
Top 4.
No, they're going to get second.
All right. Well.
They're the only act besides Cody that could possibly win.
We shall see. And next up, we have Heavens to Murgatroyd. It is Greg Morton. He is. There's been no growth from this act, Eric.
None. Still no story. Still nothing tying the impressions together. Greg got legitimately good advice from Howie, of all people on Earth, and he didn't take it. No wonder it was a goner.
This act, it's just there's no
there.
It's nothing there. It's just kind of a parrot. Like you're just saying, we don't need someone else to say the lines. We have those lines. We can go say. Like unless you're gonna bring something to the table.
Don't win $1 million. That's exactly what I wrote on MJ's.
Yeah, and there was one really super awkward moment where I was watching this. I don't know if you caught it, Eric, but I was watching. He does a Marge Simpson voice. And he says a line, it's like, women are just as smart as men. And he says that, and he, like, pauses. And there's, like, some cheering from the audience, like all these people who are like, oh, that's, like, a nice thing to say. And then he shuts it down by he goes to Homer's voice and starts insulting the line about women. And then there was just, like, this awkward, like, just compare. I don't know. Did you notice that, Eric?
I didn't, because I didn't watch all of the performance. I saw, hey, there's no story, and that's all I needed to see. No,
that was just like this awkward moment. There were still some cheers, but like it was because he said something nice about women, and people are clapping like, oh yeah, it's a strong moment, and then he just shuts it down with his next line. One thing though I do want to point out is in his shtick, he starts going through characters and saying the lines. He makes a point that he can't do Disney characters because copyright and all that stuff. And to that I say, then how did Light Balance Kids do Marvel?
Ding, ding, ding.
The AGT ninjas, the producers, are going to come behind me and knock me out for. He's waking up. He's realizing it.
Okay.
Any other thoughts on Greg, Eric, or if you have any at all?
I can't do an Arnold impression, but hasta la vista, Greg.
All right. Well, let's move on to the winner. It
Must
is
be.
Cody Lee. One thing I did rewind, going back to Greg Morton. At the result, we get Greg Morton and Cody Lee paired together.
And Greg should have had more of a reaction.
Yes, but one thing I did want to point out is, correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, Greg was our first contestant of the season, right?
Yeah.
And Cody was the final contestant of that same episode.
Yeah.
So it's like poetry. Like they're the first and the last. Like we started this together, we're going to end it together. Anyway, now going on to Cody Lee. He is performing Callum Scott's You Are the Reason. I have never heard this song before, but...
You haven't?
Nope. But I enjoyed Cody's performance. What about you?
Well, first of all, my problem with this, I'm gonna say for Cody, this was his best performance so far. No missed notes like last time. Love the song. Everything about the performance itself worked about as well as it could have. But now we go into it. As I wrote on MJ's, watching the stuff that happens before and after Cody performs is getting exhausting. It's exhausting for me to watch, and it's exhausting for me to talk about. Simon at least tried to put some of the focus on the talent, but it was way too little and way too late as far as I'm concerned. I could rant on and on and on about this, but instead I'm just going to link to the same TED Talk I always talk about in the description below this video, because I'm sick of it. It's exhausting to watch. Again, Cody did not get to say anything in his introduction to VT. It was all of his siblings talking about how inspirational he is and bullshit like that. And then the judges' comments were super hyperbolic that they would never say this if Cody was not autistic and blind. They would never talk like this if he wasn't, would they? There's no way on earth. Because the thing is, it was great. It was a good performance from Cody. But I'm comparing it to the original version of the song, which I've heard live from Callum. And he did a duet on it with Leona Lewis. And the original blows his version out of the water. So it's just like, I like Cody a lot, but he's gonna win, but he's not gonna deserve to win. He's not a deserving winner. Just because he's autistic and blind does not mean he deserves to win $1 million. That's called pity voting, and I don't like that.
But to be fair, Eric, that's how the show's always been. Like they always exploit
to
people.
To an extent, but
we had that deaf singer. We had
and none of them have won. None of the exploitative acts have won. Hopefully, Cody doesn't.
Britain's Got Talent. They did a little bit.
Which one?
Didn't Lost Voice Guy? That was a little.
That was different because Lost Voice Guy deserved to win because he was the funniest act. He was the best act of the year. That's different. It's not about story. It's about whether or not you deserve to win based on talent. I loved Lost Voice Guy and I wanted him to win.
All right. Otherwise, my other thoughts on Cody. It's not really my thing so much. It's a little too cringy, not cringy, cheesy, kind of bordering on it's too much. It's overbaked what they're kind of doing, just from my perspective. It makes me a little bit I feel bad, they're exploiting this person a little bit.
Yes, exactly. They're exploiting him. That's exactly what's happening. And it pisses me off because the thing is, if the best thing, I mean, it's just I'm exhausted watching it. I'm exhausted hearing them talk just because he shows up and walks around on stage. He's an inspiration. He's a hero. He's changing the world. All this other hyperbolic bullshit. You wouldn't say any of that if he didn't have the disability. They wouldn't. So.
All right. Well, from that, let's move on to a comedy act.
I wish there was a comedy act after this that made me laugh. Unfortunately, there wasn't. But let's go on to it anyway.
It is Jackie Fabulous, this season's version of Vicky Barbalack.
It's exactly what I wrote. Great personality, just like Vicky last year, but also like Vicky last year, none of the jokes make me laugh.
Have you heard anything about Vicky since the show ended? What's she been up to?
I am so excited to watch her completely bomb on BGT Champions in 2 weeks.
She's on BGT Champions?
Oh, we'll get there.
What?
I am so excited to watch this because
I'm convinced that she has pictures of a producer.
But I'm convinced that genuinely, according to the spoiler, she bombed. Even Simon hated it. So
why does she keep getting asked back, Eric?
I don't know.
Does she have like secret pictures of a producer doing something?
I have no idea. But I'm excited to watch it in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whenever she's on.
I watched Jackie Fabulous, and I haven't laughed once from this comedian. I
smiled at best.
It's funny. America's Got Talent's a little bit like almost desensitized me to comedy because I went and I watched one of my favorite comedians this past week, who passed away actually a couple of years ago, but his videos have been immortalized on YouTube, John Panette, and that like when you see a real comedian off America's Got Talent, it's so much better. It's just. Are you familiar with John Panette by any chance?
I think I've heard of him, but I don't remember that much.
He talks a lot about food, and he is absolutely.
Oh, my mom loves him. Did you have a water slide bit? Was that it?
No, he talks a lot about buffets, and he was the man.
My mom loved him. Yeah.
Funny story. I was actually going to get tickets to him right before he passed away, but anyway, what I'm trying to get at is. It is rare for a good comedian to come along on America's Got Talent, and Jackie is.
But it's not Jackie.
What?
I think we got one this year, but it's not Jackie.
Well, I was going to say it's not Jackie. And yeah, that's the end of her run for this season. I mean, is she going to be on BGT Champions next year?
No, she didn't make the final, so she's not gonna.
How did Vicky make the finals? Didn't she make top 5 also? No.
She made bottom 5 of the final. I was expecting her to make top 5, but Samuel made it instead of her, remember?
He was the autistic. No, he had asked. No, Tourette's. We get everything on America's Got Talent. They go through all the conditions. And right now we have Robert Finley, who is a blind singer, and he does original music. On a personal note, the only performance of his that I enjoyed was his audition, which was a funny song. But Eric, did you enjoy his performance of his song? I don't even have the name in front of me, but did you enjoy this original?
Bit of it. He has a great voice. But we all know that his throwback style was never going to lead to him getting a record deal from Simon. And Benicio and Cody could conceivably be signed by Simon. So obviously they were hyped and Robert wasn't. It made complete sense.
Some people were saying that they would have switched in Robert for Tyler. And here's the thing. Robert does original music. But it's all original music he's already released on a CD. Like, what are you going to get?
Wrong with that.
No, but I'm saying, like, if you want to, you could just see the performance he probably would have done next on his. I don't know. Like, for me, on my opinion, I thought this was a good spot to cut Robert. I feel like he didn't add that much to the show, honestly, for me. But you disagree?
I disagree. I thought he has a great voice, and I think that. Based on talent, I might have put him through over Tyler, but it's up in the air for me.
All right. Well, I don't have of all the contestants this week. I don't have that many notes on him. I mean, it was a good performance, but not my thing. Is kind of the vibe I wrote.
Yeah.
All right, we got 3 guys left. Very very male heavy this crop of talent.
Let's talk about the 3 acts that I liked the most.
All right, we have first up Eric Chen. He is a close-up magician in the vein of Shin Lim. Simon was going on and on about last week how he should go bigger, which is absolutely horrible advice. But he kind of did, like, a tiny bit try to go. He didn't do a lot of so much card magic, but I'm going to toss it to you, Eric. What did you think of Eric?
I was annoyed because the camera cut away from the actual trick part. And that is a busting if I've ever seen one in my life. We didn't see the one part of a trick that we actually needed to see to be impressed by it.
I'm bummed. I really enjoyed Eric.
So did I. But we all knew this was going to happen. There was no way he was going to make it to a final. Because he should have waited 2 years.
Exactly. Man, I agree. There's probably something going on behind the scenes. I was actually just checking out. He posted something on Instagram. I could read it. Would you want me to read it? Did you get a chance to check it out?
I did not see it. What did you write?
All right. So he wrote, it's been a pretty crazy journey. I've been incredibly stressed the past few days because I only had 3 days to create a completely new act. For semifinals, due to some issues with my planned act, I'm bummed that I can't present my grand finale because I've been planning it for almost a year and a half now, and it was going to be big. But I know I will have a chance to do it in the future, so keep an eye out. What happened that he... Does this ever happen, like switching with such a short time?
It happens when they want to sabotage someone.
Poor Eric. I mean, he could have been something. If it wasn't for Shin Lim, I feel he would have been in that finale.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think we might see him again on a champion season, Eric?
Nope.
They might put him on the same season as Shin Lim.
No, they won't. They won't. Shin Lim already won champions. He's done.
I think it's because, honestly, Simon Cowell already had Shin Lim win last year, and he kind of would rather put all his eggs in the basket of the Australian magician, whose name is not coming to me at this moment.
Dom Chambers. Yeah, Dom Chambers is going home, though, I think, too. We'll see.
I think he's going to get, like, the bottom 3, and then he'll get the say by the judges, honestly.
Maybe. We'll find out.
All right, well, let's move on to my second favorite act of the night, Light Balance Kids. Performing a Marvel routine, even though for some reason copyright, but, you know. Anyway, I continue to be amazed by these performances. It is so much fun for me. Like, I love it. Like, it just puts a smile on my face. But yeah. What did you think, Eric?
Same as you. They're phenomenal, as always. Super creative, cool to watch. This is a show I'd consider seeing. I say the same thing about them every time. I'm just thrilled they made the final.
I loved when they pan, like they pan around, like the dancers are on the stage, and the camera went around the contestants, kind of facing the audience, and you could see like they'd done something in the audience, and the lights were kind of the audience were kind of holding up lights, and they were flashing. It was pretty cool. I loved it. One thing I did say though was there was one of the Avengers who I couldn't tell who it was. Are you an Avengers fan?
No.
Oh, well, there was one. I thought it was Captain Marvel, the one with a mohawk, or I think it was a mohawk. I know it was Doctor Strange. Chat, if you are a Marvel fan, let me know. I think it was Doctor Strange, Captain America, Hulk, Iron Man, Spider-Man? No, I don't remember. But there was one who I think was Captain Marvel, but I don't know. I am floored that they were not in the top 3, Eric.
Me too. I'm a little bit pissed about it, if I'm honest. At least they made it through with a Duncan save, so hopefully they have a shot, like no chance to win, but they could conceivably get 5th place next week.
I really hope
they could.
They make it, because I would have wanted them to win. They have no chance, but
they have 0 chance.
From a personal bias,
yeah,
I would have wanted them to win because they're just
honestly. Out of the acts that are left, if Ryan can't win, I would have wanted them to win too.
It's weird. They're kind of like, remember the Masoudi brothers that we talked about earlier in the show? Like the Masoudi brothers, their talent, it has a point where the audience kind of stops when it. I don't like using this word.
When you get tired of it.
When it gets stale, and I feel like the Light Balance Kids are like the Masoudi brothers, but they're one step above it. You know what I mean? Like the Masoudi brothers, it's semifinals when their talent kind of ends, and for Light Balance, it's like right before top 5. Do you know what I mean?
No, not really, but let's move on.
All right. Well, I enjoyed them. I would want them to win, honestly, from a personal preference. Closing out the night, a bit of a surprise for me. Benicio Bryant. I was expecting him to.
Get cut.
I was thinking we were going to lose him this week after last week's performance.
I thought it was he was on the edge for me. I put him on my power list I got some things right. I got the top 2 right, I think. But I would have switched. I put Benicio in 6th place. So I was close to me. I was waffling on him.
I was still expecting, like, even coming away from the performance, I thought he was going to get cut because I didn't realize, but now apparently he's got a lot of people pulling for him. Like, I had no idea. It floored me. Like, I was logging on and everyone's like almost more than Cody, like on the superfan forums, which is weird. Could Benicio win this season, Eric?
I doubt it, but I would much prefer him over Cody.
It would be one for the books if Benicio kind of comes out of left field. I don't think it will happen. I mean,
if he pulls out an amazing performance, he could at least sneak into the top 3.
Have we had like a Grace Vanderwall kind of hiding in our season and we didn't realize? Like that's the thing I'm wondering. Like Grace.
No, we haven't.
All right. Well, this performance of his, beautifully sang. I didn't think the song was the biggest, but it was okay. I didn't realize that he was such a prominent favorite, is all I can really say.
I still think his first audition was his best performance of the season so far, but that performance, his first audition, was really, really good. So I'm happy he made it to the final. I think if you can top his first audition, which is entirely possible, it's going to be really difficult, but if he can top it, he could possibly sneak into the top 3. I think. We'll see.
I don't know. I'm curious to see. He is a contestant. I'm interested to see how this falls, kind of for the voting results of where the season kind of goes. I don't know if I wish they kind of released the results like of the top 10. Like they didn't just separate it into.
Like they do on Britain's Got Talent and X Factor, it would have been nice. You know why they do that, by the way? They passed a law over there in Parliament. One of the few good things that Parliament has done in the past decade is that they passed a law over there mandating that all the televised voting contests release the stats of how everything turned out.
Is that just because one of them is like a super fan and watches our podcast?
I don't know. But
and is like, I want to know, so I'm going to get a vote out there.
Well, Parliament did Brexit, but they can also do good things like that. I know that nothing makes up for Brexit, but anyway.
So that is our coverage of the acts. Like I said, I think we got the good results. I would have rather Light Balance be in the top 3 and maybe Benicio kind of have to get the save. No, you're shaking your head.
But
what?
Tyler, I think I would have switched out.
All right. Well.
Anyway.
That's kind of our show. But looking forward, we got Queen Latifah. My phone. I'm so confused why it went Queen Layoff. But which act are you most looking forward to next week, besides for Ryan, because I know that would be your answer?
Well, that is my answer. Besides Ryan, The Unbeatable, I'm looking forward to seeing again. And that's about it.
I am most excited for Marcin,
The Unbeatable, Marcin, Ryan, and Luke Islam are before I'm excited to see.
I mentioned a few weeks ago, I'm convinced. I'm putting imaginary money down. Luke Islam will be performing This Is Me from The Greatest Showman.
Or Never Enough from The Greatest Showman. I'll give you credit forever.
All right. Any Greatest Showman, because I don't want to put this out, because as soon as I put this out, this is going to be the entire week is going to be all Greatest Showman songs. We have not had that much Greatest Showman music this season, and now that I've said that, Everyone is doing. Everyone is doing it.
Yes, you cursed it.
We got Tyler's doing Never Enough. We got The Unbeatable dancing to This Is the Greatest Show.
Uh-huh. Anyway, can we touch a bit on BGT while we're still here?
Yes. So really quickly, we are just going to do a bit of a brief, kind of just touching on some moments from Britain's Got Talent this past week. I did not watch the full episode. I watched 3.5 performances. Eric, you watched the entire show though, right?
Yes, I did. I want to touch on a couple of quick points about the show. First of all, format notes. Same stupid superfan bullshit as America's Got Talent, the Champions.
Why can't it just be live? Why are we doing it different this way?
I have no idea, but at least the main show hasn't suffered. At least the main show hasn't switched to this. That's what matters to me. They did at least format production a little bit different. It's less like auditions, more like a traditional live show now. So I like that better, like with the host doing it in the traditional VT, and then there's no like introduction to the contestants before they start performing, which I like. It's more like a traditional live show, so I like the format overall. I hate the super fans, but I like how they presented the show. I felt like the acts this week were kind of lackluster overall. There wasn't anyone this week in the premiere that I was truly blown away by, other than Ksenia, because, Ksenia is just incredible. But we've seen her before on America's Got Talent Champions. And so this week was kind of disappointing to me, so I'm not too excited to touch on too much of it. But there are a couple things I want to quickly touch on. I was excited to see Boogie Storm again. They were the Dancing Stormtrooper act. They weren't great, but it's a one gimmick act, but it's a pretty funny gimmick. Bello and Annalise Knock made it through.
Let's talk about them, because that is one of the contestants that I actually watched. So Annalise Knock, I think, did we podcast? What?
We talked about her last year, yeah. She was separate from her.
She was in like an audition and then disappeared.
Yeah, basically.
So we saw her and Bello kind of perform literally the same routine. The
Wheel of Death.
The Wheel of Death, to like an identical copy of it, set to the same Lindsey Sterling song with the same other thing. I enjoyed it the first time, but why are we doing the same? I get it because it's Britain's Got Talent.
And they've never seen it before.
I really enjoy Bello Knock, though. I don't think he at all deserved to advance. For me, I would have given the vote to Connie Talbot, who
we'll touch on next.
But Bello, like, he's like a clown. Like,
he is a very animated clown, except he's crazy.
And I enjoy that. Like, I don't think I was at the circus like once in my life, but I love those kind of people. But to put him through over some of these other people,
yeah, he did not deserve to make it through. Anyway, Ksenia did a stand art. She was amazing. She got the golden buzzer. So Connie Talbot, when she was on the first time, she was 6.
She was like this little girl.
She was 6. I wasn't amazed she could. I wasn't sure she'd still be able to sing, but she can.
I remember that audition. Like I remember.
Why, Connie, I'm gonna talk to you like an adult.
And she's a woman now.
It's so weird.
She's like 20.
So yeah, it really made me feel old watching that. But anyway,
I loved her though. Really she was phenomenal. Like, she was a piano player. Like, I loved it. She was one of my favorite Got Talent performances I've seen in a while, and she didn't even make it through.
Well, the Champions format's garbage. We can agree on that. But I thought she was really great too.
Was she top 3?
No, we don't know. No, we do know she wasn't. She wasn't. So what happened was first place was Bello and Annalise Knock. Second place was Boogie Storm. Third place was Ashley and Sully.
I have no words.
Yeah, I know you have no words. Paul
because I didn't watch most of them.
Paul Potts didn't make it into the top 3, which is a real surprise according to the judges. You could hear actually they edited it so that they didn't edit it, but you heard Amanda say, "Paul Potts not in the top 3."
Pish posh.
Pish posh huffle flip flop. um. Anyway, I thought that overall, my favorite act of the night actually was an Australian comedy duo called I forget what their name was. They were the Nelson Twins, and they're doing like stand-up comedy, just two people doing stand-up comedy, doing jokes, alternating. It was really funny. I liked them a lot. They also didn't make it through, but I found them really funny. So.
I did watch a little bit of the Sacred Rihanna.
Yeah.
Always a treat.
They did not introduce her as from America's Got Talent. They did talk about her as Asia's Got Talent winner.
You know what she should be? She needs to be like a birthday party performer. Like imagine a bunch a line like a circle of 6-year-old kids with like little hats, and then just Sacred Rihanna walks in.
She's in a TV movie, I think.
And then she does a trick, and like all the 6-year-olds vanish except for the birthday boy, and she just walks up to him and goes. She hands him the teddy bear, and she's like, "Here's your present." And just leaves. She would be great at birthday parties.
She would.
Like for little kids. That is like a late night TV show skit right there.
Okay. That sounds great. Anyway, I'm excited for this week. I'll pull up who's on this week's episode because there are a couple of acts that I like and a couple that you'll know. So 1 second, let me pull it up. I'll let this part out. So on this week's episode of BGT Champions, we have 100 Voices of the Gospel. They were one of the best choirs that the show's ever had.
Did they make a finale?
I'm not giving away spoilers at this point.
No, like on the season they were on before.
Oh yeah, they were like 5th or 6th place.
Okay.
Paul Zerdin.
Yeah, Paul Zerdin.
Yeah, excited for that. Gao and Liu, I don't know who they are. Alexa Lomberger, don't know who she is. Lost Voice Guy, Antonio Sorgentone, Mercy Girls, Deadly Games, and Jai McDowell.
I know 2 of them.
I know 4 or 5 of them, and I'm excited for all of the ones I know. So, should be good.
All right. Well, on that note, I guess any other thoughts on Britain's Got Talent?
I'm excited to talk about Paul's next performance. That should be good.
I hope he does the dummy trick, but with Simon Cowell.
Please, Paul. I know you can't listen to us now because this is all pre-taped and we already know everything.
Go back, get in the time machine.
And do that.
And do that.
Make our dreams come true.
Alright, well, I want to say that I'm Adam Samuel. You can find me on Twitter at AdamSoapbox or on my 2 websites, AdamSoapbox.com and AdamCVblog.com. Where can we find you, Eric?
EricAscher.com, Eric_Ascher on Twitter, EricAscher01 on YouTube.
There are 2 weeks left of America's Got Talent. Kind of going out with a little bit of a whimper, but it's going to go out.
It's going to go out. Oh, I'm excited because tomorrow or today when you actually watch this, I'm seeing Jeremiah with Harmon in Baltimore again for
You got to ask him to be on a podcast.
That is entirely part of the plan. I will keep you posted.
We'll do a deep dive like we did with Katie.
We're going to do a little bit of that, but if we get him on, we're mostly going to be talking about future stuff.
All right. So this was a fun podcast. Eric, thank you, as always, for joining me for it. I am going to call it quits there, though. Until next time, guys, we will see you for 2 more weeks of America's Got Talent. Until then, peace.